everybody. I am D.B. Frick. This is Welcome Back to America. It's Millie Micheals. We got a lot of show for you. Today's theme is film, entertainment. We got some filmmakers that we've interviewed. We've got a review of a movie that an old friend did. So we got a lot coming up. We got popcorn. We got candy. What else do we got coming up?
We do. Well, I'm going to talk about an Indonesian man who turned property damage into a fortune. If you see, a meteor, 5-pound meteor, went through the roof of his house, and then it rolled outside onto the dirt, and then he picked it up, and right away there was somebody there who wanted to buy it for $1.8 million.
Wow.
So now he's like a mayor of one of the islands in Indonesia.
How does someone even... I don't understand how someone even...
Gets in contact with somebody.
How do you find someone can you buy this rock? I mean, people sold pet rocks in the 70s. There's that. So there is a market for it, obviously.
Yes. But $1.8 million, that's just amazing.
It's a little crazy.
Alcohol was prohibited back in the 1920s through 1933, so because due to health reasons. So what happened, there was people who really wanted to drink, evidently look at the picture, and so they would go to hidden clubs called speakeasies.
Of course.
Where they would like drink and talk and have fun and do shots illegally, and that was good. Right now in 2020, there is a ban on spin classes since March, and they are not reopening because they are banning it for health reasons, evidently, because when they're breathing, the spit's coming out all over the place. And these buffed people are not taking it. They are going into dark rooms to do spin classes. And I've heard through, the grapevine that they call it spit easy.
Yeah.
Instead of a speakeasy.
I like that. I think that those are kind of situations that require a certain amount of... there's no reason to do that in the dark.
I wouldn't know where to put my foot.
It's just bad news. Bad news all over.
It's bad news. I don't go.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's Thanksgiving this week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I almost forgot.
Yeah. And they're getting ready to put the tree up at 30 Rockville Center. Here
Love
it is
going
last
there.
year. It's so beautiful. I love that tree.
I think I've been to, at least half my life. I've gone every year to go see the tree.
I definitely have done it all every year.
Yeah.
And I watch it every year, and I'm a pain in the butt at my house because they have to watch the show. Anyway, this year they happened to find a little teeny weeny mature owl, 5 inches tall. He is the cutest, isn't he?
His name is Rockefeller, I believe.
Yes, his name is Rockefeller. They took him out, and he's living somewhere else where he gets a lot of mice, and he's happy. But, what happened was the tree doesn't look good now because whoever took it out, it doesn't look like they took a 5-inch owl out. It looks like they took, Godzilla out of the tree.
It's a metaphor for the environment. It's, that owl, there's going to be some Broadway musical with that owl. There's going to be songs, and he's going to change everybody's opinion about the environment. He's going to save the world. This little owl's got a lot of pressure on it. So I understand why it needs to be coddled in that little blanket, just like I do.
I'm sorry. And no one needs to, make an ornament, with toilet paper on him. Don't do that.
No.
Because that's not cool.
I agree with you.
I don't like that.
Anything else going on?
Well, what's going on is we're going to talk about movie flubs.
Oh, I'm so excited about this.
Yes, there are people who actually watch movies just to see what they've done wrong in the movie.
Yeah, those people have empty lives.
Yeah, empty. Back in the 50s, there was 400 mistakes. Now, they're down to 150, 180.
That's still a mistake every 20 seconds.
It's very difficult not to have a mistake.
Okay, anyway.
I'm
the king of mistakes, but here's some mistakes that we found. Here's one. This is Twilight. That's Kristen Stewart in Twilight.
She's texting.
And you'll notice that in the mirror, in the window of the car, you can see the reflection of a camera.
And of the vampire people living on the wall. I don't understand.
Those
That's
are
the
actors
flub
in the
to
movie.
Me.
That's not a flub. Those are actors in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on a porch. What's the next picture? We have another picture from another movie over here. Oh, this is from Inglourious Bastards. This is great. If you look at one side, he's got his little emblem. On the other side, no emblem, and his hair's all messed up.
Right. Well, his hair's messed up because he had to wrestle somebody to get the emblem back. Look how happy he looks in that picture. His hair's a mess, but he got it back.
That might be true if he was doing method. He probably had to get into a fight.
Yes.
I think he probably had to change his clothes over time, and someone got fired because of that. If that makes anyone happy out there.
It looks like it was somebody who was related to him because he doesn't look happy.
He doesn't. But he's a German guy.
Yeah. Look at those muscles.
This is great. That's Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe in Gladiator. And then if you look in that upper right-hand corner, or left-hand corner, that's a plane.
Wow.
That's an airplane. And that's like Russell Crowe like saying, like, hey, guys, what's going on here? Something's wrong.
Yeah, look at my muscles, he's saying.
Okay, enough.
Yeah.
Any, the next picture?
And this is from Jaws.
It's not Jaws, that's Titanic. You can tell that the deck is different in one scene without the girl and one scene with the girl.
Well, what is the shark doing there on the bottom of the
That's
second?
not a shark, that's a wave.
That's not a wave.
Have you ever been in the water?
Don't
you go out on a boat every week?
I do, and that looks like a shark to me.
Don't you live on a boat like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear?
Yeah, I live on a boat like that.
Do we have another picture, I think. We have, this is a picture of, this is Terminator 2. Yes, Terminator 2. And in one picture, you'll notice Arnold has holes in the back of his jacket.
Right, but if you notice, I think they're in a dry cleaners. Maybe.
Maybe he got it fixed there in a tailor.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And the other picture, of course, I mean, Terminator 2 is one of my favorites. We have another picture here from a movie that everybody's seen, and that's Pirates of the Caribbean. And you'll notice, I think that's Keith Richards in the corner over there with the farmer hat on.
Yeah, no, because he's standing up. I don't think it's Keith Richards.
You don't know that he's not standing up. You can just see the top. He might be like propped up on something, probably.
Oh, you think
that's how they get him anywhere.
Yeah.
And then we have something else over here. This is another picture from Terminator 2. In one shot, the window's pushed out of the front of the truck, and the other shot, it's there. If you watch the movie, you'll notice that it comes out, and then the next shot.
Yeah, I disagree, but okay.
She disagrees. This is great. These are from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, this gentleman, I don't know his name, but he was on set for like 18 hours. He had the makeup, he had to work. He was overwhelmed, and he had to do a scene for where he dies, correct?
Yeah, he dies.
And he's laying on the table, and next picture, while he's laying there, this is a video, if you go online, you can see, he's snoring. He actually fell asleep during the scene. They're just looking at him like, you're snoring.
That's the same thing that happens to our audience when they watch the show.
Yeah, I know, my husband does.
Yeah. We have a great show for you tonight. We have Dan Brennan and Russ Camarta, both actors, filmmakers, performers, writers, producers, directors. They're going to show a piece from a movie called Taxicab Ride With Jesus that they did, and they interview both of them. And I also have a short film that I reviewed with our intern, Ross Raniere.
Russ, I love
Russ. Ross, he's our intern. So we talk about a movie that Lonnie Ross did. That he was from 30 Rock. He's done some movies. He's been on television a lot. And his movie, Gary Got Involved, so funny. So funny. So very, very funny. It's political. It's like a comedy version of Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
So check that out. Stay here. Watch. Don't turn that channel. Stay with us and welcome back to it. Get a snack.
Get a
I'm
snack.
going to eat the rest of these.
And now can I do this?
Yeah.
Is that cool? Yeah, I've got popcorn down your shirt.
Hi, everybody. I am D.B. Frick. This is Welcome Back to America. Today, we got a short film review that we're doing, and I have my cohort here, Ross Raniere. I like to say that with a French sort of feel at the end, Raniere. It makes me feel like I'm introducing a great, like, classical musician. I had Ross watch this movie by a friend of ours who we interned with at Late Night with Conan O'Brien like 20 years ago. His name is Lonnie Ross. He was on 30 Rock as Josh Gerard. He did a few movies, did a Dane Cook movie, was in a couple of things. But this right now is a short film that he wrote and directed called Gary Got Involved. And it's about a kind of lovable loser who decides to volunteer for a politician. And Ross and I both watched this, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and it's perfect for right now because we're going through this election. And I feel like we've been going through an election for like 25 years now. I feel like we're in the constant state of election. What do you think about that, Ross?
Yeah, every time you wake up and think there's probably a president today, not quite yet. I mean, there sort of is, but there's like two guys making speeches at the same time. So one of them is going to be president at some point.
It is very strange. And so was this short film. The short film was great, but it is slightly dark. It's not as dark as things like, I thought it was very reminiscent of movies like King of Comedy, the Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Jerry Lewis movie, and Taxi Driver, similar to Taxi Driver, but not as like dark or crazy. And then Election. It was closer to like the dark of the movie Election with Matthew, whatever his name is.
Roderick.
Thank you. Yes. There were a lot of elements of this movie that I really liked, and one of the things was the tension of, have you ever had to go door to door ever in your career of life?
I don't think I ever had to, but every time somebody would come to my door, I would feel bad for them. I feel like terrible having to eat that. Even that was a thing. Selling vacuums, selling insurance, selling encyclopedias a million years ago. I mean,
right. That had to be a really hard one because they're heavy, and you got to bring a lot of them inside. They were a boring thing to sell, but I needed encyclopedias as a kid. That's for sure. Did you find it interesting to watch a short piece that someone we knew from so long ago working on a show at NBC, to see something now that he wrote and directed? And there are elements of it that are so very Lonnie, and these very funny little intricate things within jokes that he says and personality quirks that this character has that are just perfectly fit to what Lonnie does on screen.
Yeah, one major memory I have of him working with him back then was just always laughing because he always does wacky impressions and characters, and like he was doing stuff from movies I didn't even see. I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm like, oh yeah, I see the movie later. Like that was what the impression he was just doing. Then later he was doing impressions on 30 Rock, and he snuck a couple of those into the short film there. Just like little, like almost like micro impression characters, little montage and stuff.
Yeah, he really got famous because he did that Jay Leno impression in the first ad for 30 Rock. That's what, like, shot him into everybody. Everybody knew him after that. Even if you didn't watch 30 Rock, you probably saw that preview. But it was fun. He's won a few awards for it. It's in a few festivals, I believe. It may not have won any awards, but it's up for some awards, and it's going through a few festivals. And I think it's traveling all about now. Was there anything specifically about the movie that you liked a lot, that stood out to you?
I like the ending. Not to spoil. I'm not going to spoil it, but because, like you said, it has like kind of a dark undertone throughout, and then the ending was actually like a perfect way to sort of wrap everything up.
Right.
And just sort of like, it didn't go like way off the rails or have some sort of like cutesy thing or just like bizarre thing. It was like, yes. It's like, you could almost like it was a pilot, like you can continue the story of this guy continuing to canvas or figure out he needs somebody like that in his life or not.
Yeah, you could easily see that happening in that story. And it's such a simple little, like, even the scene, there's a scene where he gets mad at the guy that he's helping with his political campaign. So he starts going door to door of the people that he's already convinced to vote for him to not vote for him. And then he shows up at one point, that guy running for that office, and he had just like said what a terrible guy he is and whatever. And it was really funny to see that. That was very sitcom-y, very Seinfeld-esque, that moment.
Yeah.
I thought so. Anyway, Ross, thanks for coming down today to your living room or den or wherever it is that you make those lovely paper envelopes that are going across the back of your room. I like those.
I think those are from Mexico. Those are from like the Day of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
So they're hanging up there for reminiscing the old vacation days before I had kids.
Before you had kids, which was a long time ago. I was hoping that the kids were going to like jump in here and talk about the movie too. I would love to hear a child's perspective of a movie like this. I'm sure that they would find a lot of things that were very laughable, even though it's sort of beyond child, but you know, they could still get something out of it. But thanks for coming down today. I really appreciate the chat, and I'll see you in studio again soon.
All right.
This is Welcome Back to America. We're going to show a short clip from Gary Got Involved, written and directed by Lonnie Ross.
No, he sucks. That commercial said he has ties to Russia.
No, that's the other guy.
No, that guy has ties to Russia.
Get your facts straight. Ed Guerrero Jr. is great. Get your facts straight. Ed Guerrero Jr. is great. Get your facts straight. Ed Guerrero Jr. is...
Just shut up.
I'm here talking about Ed Guerrero Jr. Do you know who you're voting for?
I don't know. Get the hell off my property. Leave!
We're here. I just have one question. When do you plan on vacating the premises?
Don Nunziata, I have no plans to vacate the premises until I get some answers.
Answers?
Answers. Like, who put the hit on my father?
I don't know.
You're such a cocksucker, you know that? Of course you know. We all know.
You got some balls, I'll give you that. Unlike your father, I'm not a patient man. I don't believe in threats, but I'm gonna promise you that as soon as we're done with your beautiful baby sister, we're gonna start on you. Can I ask you a question? Why are you having your wedding videotaped? I mean...
Think somebody should see it, don't you? How do I look?
You look, well, you're just the most beautiful bride I've ever seen.
You say that to all your brides.
No, I don't. Shauna Hill. 19 years old, missing for 4 months. I had a soft spot for her. She had this baby. It's a little pink fat guy. I watched her feed it. I watched it smile when she tickled his feet. Shauna goes missing. Baby's left alone, and I was the one that found it! You know, the doctor said that baby was left alone for 8 days. 8 days! Nobody hears it crying. Or maybe they just ignored it. It's a shame, really, what people will do.
Nice.
Writing a book is the adventure of a lifetime. Red Penguin Books take pride in giving our authors a publishing experience that is stress-free and celebratory all the way. Some of our authors first approach us with no more than an idea for a book that's ready to sprout. Others submit completed manuscripts. Whether you're at either end or anywhere in between, our goal is to get you published. At Red Penguin Books, we offer options and opportunities that are unique in the world of publishing, and all of them are designed to keep you, the author we so deeply respect, in the driver's seat, unlike other publishing houses. So, if you want to write a book and are looking for a publisher, we've got you covered. Red Penguin Books deal in publishing services, book development, and ghostwriting for digital, print, and audiobook. Call us at 516-448-4993 or visit our website www.redpenguinbooks.com.
Hi, everybody. This is D.B. Frick here with Welcome Back to America. And we have another fantastic guest today who I've known for many years. Very talented man. He's an actor. He's a writer. He's a director. He's a producer. Most recently had a film out there called Taxi Ride with Jesus, which was on the festival circuit for a while and should be going out to YouTube very soon and all those platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, the great, the incomparable Russ Camarta. How you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Frick. It is awesome to see you again. I haven't seen you in a long time, so thanks for having me on. This is fantastic.
I think the last time I saw you, you made a CD for me of a reel. You made a reel for me, and it was and I just recently actually came across that reel again, and you did a great job editing it, but I didn't do a very good job in the stuff on it. So it wasn't exactly what I like. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Thank you for coming down. It's great to have you. You're one of the greatest personalities, and we actually met doing weddings together many years ago.
That's right. Yeah, you and I were in the wedding video and photography business. So
we were, and we still are. Well, I am. I actually did a shoot yesterday, and it wasn't a wedding shoot. We shot at a school. We shot a Christmas concert. They're doing like a socially distanced Christmas concert at a school called the Browning School in Manhattan, which is, like, I found out, is $40,000 a year to go to.
Oh, so
which these
underprivileged.
It costs more for these kids to go to school than how much I make a year.
That's right.
That's a favorite new thing. You've been a performer for a long time. When was the first time you got on stage or in front of a camera? What was it that got you there?
Well, the first thing I ever performed in as a little child, man, that was, in elementary school. I remember what happened was I was out sick the day they gave out the parts for the 3 Billy Goats Gruff in 2nd grade. And I wanted to be the troll or the ogre that lived under the bridge. And I didn't get that part because I was absent. So when I got back to school, they made me just a Billy Goat, in the chorus. And I was pissed. I was very pissed about that. And as a result, when they had all the kids on stage at the end of the show, when everybody got up to bow, they all got up and bowed and left. I stayed on stage and sat there, and then took my bow solo. That was my revenge. So that was my first performance on stage. That's to give you an idea of where my head was at as a kid.
You would actually, I think today you would get the Billy Goat Gruff part. I think you would definitely get that part.
Oh yeah, it's working for me.
Yeah, no, it totally would. I think that's hilarious. It often is the stage as a child that a lot of people first got on and experienced being in front of people like that. And I love that. That's so actor. That there's like an attitude behind that. I'm staying on stage right now, and I'm going to get extra applause because I feel like you screwed me over.
Oh yeah, super ego for a 7-year-old or whatever it was. But then I went on to do such great productions as my third great production of Snoopy and Charlie Brown and classics such as that. But I always wanted to be an actor ever since obviously that small all the way through. When I went to high school, they didn't have a drama program. They only had a senior play. Luckily, they did something that I could do, a senior musical that I could do. But I never got to do anything until I graduated high school. I didn't go to college. I went right to the city and started training and taking different classes and stuff, and then started to get into theater. So it wasn't until I was 18, 19, 20 that I finally got on stage in local theater, community theater, regional theater, and I started doing all kinds of stuff.
What was it that made you feel like you were finally a performer, finally an actor?
I don't know if I ever got there yet. Well, I mean, I think the first thing where you weren't just the bellhop carrying the bags in the hotel scene, where you first had lines and you first had a character. There was a small part I did in a local community production of I think it was, what the hell was the show? Witness for the Prosecution or one of those, and I had like a walk on, as a witness, one of the witnesses in the trial, and I made a real character out of it. And that's when I felt the response I got. You get the response from the audience. That's when you feel like you're a performer. And that being a comic better than anything is you get that immediate vibe back. And it's like, okay, I'm here. I belong here. That's when I probably first knew.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Man, I've thought about that one. I always wanted to fly. But recently, I've been thinking invisibility would be cool, because I'd love to just walk into some rooms go down to Area 51, undetected, maybe the White House, the Pentagon, just sit there and just, get into the files and shit and nobody knows I'm there. I think invisibility would work for me.
I like that. I like that you want to become a spy. You want to use your superpower to be a spy.
Just for me, just my own personal spying. I could care less of sharing it with anybody. I would just like to know these answers for myself.
So it has nothing to do with trying to save America from something. It's all from a selfish. Well, I'm glad that kid who wanted that part hasn't changed much as an adult. It's the same person. I love that. Now, if you were, this is a little different question. This is sort of fun and funny. If you were on the run with a bag of money and you were being chased, where would you hide the money?
Well, if it's me and I'm on the run with a bag of money, most likely it's not a lot of money. But where would I hide it?
So you're on the run with $11.50.
That's right. Yeah, I might spend $5.50 on a Gatorade and like an egg sandwich, and then I'd put the rest. I like what Steve Buscemi when he dug that hole in Fargo in the snow. Depends on the weather. If I got some snow, I might try and look for a fence and do that with the ice scraper. But I'm guessing the beach. I'm guessing I'd hide it in the beach.
Interesting.
In a dune.
A dune in the beach.
Yeah, just for the aesthetic quality.
I actually was watching a documentary last night about Dutch Schultz.
Okay.
And apparently, he had a box full of diamonds and gold doubloons and cash and Liberty bonds. And it was in a big metal. And the reason that they think that this is still around is because nobody ever cashed in the Liberty bonds. They would know it was his because of the serial number or whatever. And nobody ever cashed them in. And it was like $1 million. So that's still somewhere out there.
Well, I was just going through my garage and there was a couple of boxes that looked a little weird. So I'm going to take a look now.
Maybe it's those. Maybe it's those.
It could be.
Where do you see entertainment going in the next few years? How long do you think it would take to pick up? Do you think it needs to change? What about it might need to change to make it work?
Well, I was just thinking about this the other day. I mean, obviously, there's a tremendous civil unrest, and a lot of chickens are coming home to roost in this country about things we haven't addressed, as far as diversity and inclusivity and all that stuff. I'm not. I tend to lean more on the sort of to the center left, sort of the Bill Maher center left version of. I'm not big on the whole social justice, cancel culture stuff. So I think that's dangerous. I think limiting free speech is dangerous. I'm not big on what the Academy Awards did, but again, the Academy Awards are kind of a goofball thing anyway. It's I think.
What do you mean by what the Academy Awards did?
Well, the way their requirements for some of the picture awards and required diversity. I think if you impose things on the arts, I think that's always a bad idea. I think the arts kind of come around and find their way. And if you look at any, you look at television, look at commercials, look at things. I think the one business that's done well with changing the culture is the arts. I think they're super inclusive now. So going forward, my hope is that they continue to do that organically, and we don't try and force artists into boxes and push them in around and stuff. So
I imagine there being a lot of one-man shows on Broadway to start. Like, I think that there would be one-man musicals, and I think it would just be easier to produce those. I don't know. I guess that's just because I think the only, as someone who's over 40, who hasn't made it, whatever that means,
right.
I do believe that there is still an avenue open to write a book that can be turned into a show. I think that I always wanted to be on a staff writing job for a sitcom.
Yeah. Right.
Getting that after 40 is very unlikely. They don't really hire people older than 40. But I do believe that I could still get a show on Broadway.
Oh, sure, yeah. And the thing about it is now, I mean, the avenues that are available to you to get your stuff out there like this, and the whole podcasting thing, and just the technology is lowered and the price point is lowered, and the road is open so clearly that you can get whatever you need to get out there. It's just a matter of getting the audience to it. And I think that the whole pandemic thing, I think we're going to turn the corner on that, and we'll be back to performing before you know it.
Sure. They're already doing, I think, TV shows in LA are 47% to where they were. So like half of them still aren't producing, and there's about half as much.
Yeah, my guess is, and I'm taking a wild guess at this, by March, April, we'll be pretty much back to normal. There's going to be some therapeutic that's like, hey, it's Theraflu for COVID. You take it, you don't die, And once they get that in there, even before a vaccine, once they get that stuff out, we'll be back to performing and living relatively normal.
Do you have any dream jobs or dream projects that you'd like to do?
Well, I mean, I've been lucky enough I've gotten to do some really cool stuff in the theater and in film and stuff over my little career. But every writer, actor, director, especially a filmmaker, has some screenplay in a drawer somewhere that they've been working on forever, and I have one of those. And there's one I've been trying to finish writing for a while that I want to do, sort of a psychological drama, type thing along the lines of a thriller, like a Jacob's Ladder kind of vibe.
Okay, yeah, I like that. That's a good.
Yeah, so it's a cool story. So I'm hopefully one day I'll get that out there. There's a bunch of other things that I'm working with other writers that we're trying to get financed, features and things. And parts to play. I mean, I'm at that age now where I'm at the age where Nicholson played A Few Good Men, where Brando was the Godfather, where I'm at that. Daniel Day-Lewis did Gangs of New York. I'm ready for that iconic role, that the 50-year-old psychopath guy who's just so give me that. Somebody give me one of those roles. I'm ready to go.
I could totally see you in, and you're so different from Jack Nicholson, but I could see you in that role as Jessup, Colonel Jessup.
Oh yeah, it's great. That's a great role.
Anything that Jack Nicholson does. I have fantasies about getting the opportunity to hang out with him, like play poker with him, have a steak, talk about Hollywood. That's like my big fantasy.
And I think the night would end well.
Yes, or with him probably passing out and crapping himself. Honestly, he's like almost 90. Is there anything that you're working on right now that you'd like to plug before we head out of here?
Well, I just recently, in the last month, I launched a podcast where I interview different artists. It's called Art Craft Truth. It's on every, listening platform, iTunes, Spotify, all the Google, all that stuff. And it's also the video version of it is on YouTube. So you look up Art Craft Truth with Russ Camarta. And it's literally like, it's kind of like actor studio type thing where I talk to different artists, all different kinds, dancers, comedians, actors. And we talk about, it's not so much a career retrospective. I don't really, that doesn't interest me as much as like how they do it, like how do you construct a joke, for instance, or how do you play a room if you're a comedian, or what's the chord structure of this song? I really love to, because I don't understand a lot of different arts, so I love to listen to how they think about it, and it becomes this conversation between artists. So I love that. Art Craft Truth. Check it out.
Yeah, it's been I watched your Jackie Martling interview because I had interviewed him recently too, and I thought that was a great connection that we.
That was like riding a bucking bronco, because he's so used to he's done so many of them that he just has a thing that he just gets on, and you got to hang on.
I was worried about that going into the interview with him. I was worried that he was going to go and go and go, and I wasn't really going to be able. But it was a great conversation. And he's done a lot of movies too. He's quite the actor.
Yeah, I actually got to beat the shit out of him in a movie, which was fun.
Oh, I love it. Was it a Donna McKenna cast movie?
No, this was, I don't know who cast that, but it was a Fred Carpenter movie called Send No Flowers, which is actually on Amazon Prime. You can check it out, Send No Flowers. And I was a mob boss, and he was like a strip club owner, and I beat the living shit out of him. So that's where we met.
Oh, I love that. Thanks so much for coming on today, Russ. You're a great personality, and I look forward to spending some time together when the world opens up.
Absolutely. I loved the show. I loved the whole format, and obviously I'm a huge comedy fan, and you're fantastic at it. So keep going, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. This is Russ Camarta. I'm D.B. Frick. This is Welcome Back to America, and we'll be right back after this.
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica, un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. And I even got to keep the girl.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am D.B. Frick. This is Welcome Back to America. I have another guest tonight. Awesome guy. He's been doing entertainment. He's been a performer for many years. He's an actor. He's a writer. He's a director. He's a producer. He's got several of his movies out there. One of them is right behind him called The Video Guys. I met him 20 years ago when he was making that movie. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll recognize his face because you've seen him all around. Dan Brennan. Thanks for coming down. Good to see you here.
You're making me feel like Sammy Davis Jr. with that whole big thing.
Well, that's the one eye thing. Because you got the one eye. Sammy Davis Jr., by the way, is probably the most talented person to really come out of the Rat Pack. He was an actor. He was a dancer. He was a singer. He was the triple threat. No one else was.
Did you see any of the Matt Helm movies? I'm just curious.
Matt, no, I may have and not known it.
Well, because those were all Dean Martin. You know,
oh, then I've definitely seen Matt Helm movies. I'm never thinking in terms of the directors of those movies, unless it's Jerry Lewis.
That's Jerry Lewis, a different kind of genius.
A different kind of genius. I got to meet him outside of Damn Yankees once, and all he could say was, "Get away from me! Where's my wife?" That's what it was. He's got like 100 people crowding him. He's like, "Where's my wife?" Going to his limo.
That's right.
Dan Brennan, you've been a performer for a very long time.
Long time.
I want to know the first time that you either got on stage or in front of a camera, and what that experience was like for you. What got you to do it?
It started when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and my brother Dick, who is now Dick Brennan of Channel 2 News here in New York, he did an impersonation of Ed Sullivan. And I never heard my mother laugh so loud. She was laughing out of fucking control. And I'm like, and I left the room and I started doing Ed Sullivan, and I started watching, and you know all this, the Copycats and Frank Gorshin and Rich Little and the whole bunch. And the early 70s was all about impersonations and just going around and doing John Wayne and Richard Nixon and Kirk Douglas and all this stuff. And I would do a show every Thanksgiving. And everybody would be quiet, and I'd get up and I would do my impersonations. You'd do Columbo and all this nonsense. And you'd kill for that. You know, just be like, you know, just like, oh, wow, this is great. This is great. And then when I was like 12, I got a Super 8 camera, and then you'd go and make a Super 8 movie, and then you would invite everybody over to watch it and stuff like that. And that is amazing, because when you're an author that way, you really get this whole sense of control and fun and showing people stuff. And then that eventually went into a video career where I started videotaping weddings. And then we started doing corporate video and school videos. And then while that was happening, I was auditioning as an actor in New York. And when you act in New York, it's really all about commercials, because back in the 80s and 90s, the East Coast was really all for TV commercials, and the West Coast was all for sitcoms and movies. And I had a really good commercial career. I did over 75 national spots for AT&T and for Kmart, a lot of big, you know, companies and stuff like that. And by auditioning, you learn how to act, because when you're going on auditions, they're saying, this is what we're doing. This is the product. This is the professional stuff that's going on the air. You have to learn this. And from those auditions, I learned how to act, because it's like, if you can act in a TV commercial, it's like taking off and landing on an aircraft carrier. You have a quarter second to give somebody a feeling or an emotion, and you have a quarter second to get out of it. And it's basically the Jason Bateman School of Acting. And that was awesome. And then when I got some money, I bought some really nice equipment. And because I was videotaping weddings at the time, we videotaped and we made Video Guys, which, you know, for 5, 6, 7 years, you know, we had a distributor that took it all over the world. And it was in Dublin, and it was in the Netherlands, and it was in Italy, and it was in Germany. And it never came to this country. They couldn't find, because just like we will watch a bunch of strangers with British accents, overseas, anything that's American, they just assume is the highest level. So it's very easy to sell your product over there. And then about 2, 3 years ago, Russ Camarta, an actor I work with, and he's in the Video Guys, brilliant, brilliant guy, says, I'm on Amazon Prime, and look, you know, Video Guys is on it, because the company that bought it sold it to another company, and then they got it up on Amazon Prime. And that was just, you know, that was amazing. That's
really crazy to see your movie from 20 years ago just randomly on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but Russ found it, and he just, and it's funny because when he sent it to me, he was like, when were you going to tell me about this? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And there it was, and it was the poster we designed, and it was the trailer we made, and this other company took it over, and they seemed to know what to do with it. And then that was great, because then you could send it to everybody and everybody could watch it.
I have another question. How do you keep your skin so firm?
Well, I don't drink as much as my Irish brethren, and I do have makeup on now because I'm a fairly shallow guy, and I need to, you know, get this kind of encouragement.
I won't leave the house without foundation.
That's right. No, it's funny. As you get older, you just, the Irish don't age well, but my dad did. So I think I got my dad's skin. So I'm trying to, and I'm also one of these Irishmen that's trying to learn how to tan properly. My daughters will tell you about my sunshine walks. I used to watch my dad come back from golf, and he'd have these great tans. And I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want to be.
But you come back like the Elephant Man, and you have to cover it up, and it's like, yeah, no, I've been there. I don't really tan very well either.
Yeah, I also use a product in my hair to make it look thicker. So
okay, well, you look great. It's a compliment. You do have very good skin for a man that's almost 60, right? Are you 60?
56. Let's be fair.
56. Okay, so it's not really almost 60.
Yeah, you know, and just to remind you that Clint Eastwood did his greatest masterpiece, Unforgiven, when he was 61.
Oh yeah, no, I have no doubt about that. Wilfred Brimley didn't get his first role until he was like 60, and then when he was 15, he actually looked the same as when he died.
I saw that.
Did you see? Do you have any dream jobs or dream roles or something that you'd really like to put out?
It's funny because there's two ways to write. Now, you're a writer-director too. And it's like some people write because they want this really cool part. Russ is a perfect example. Like we did this movie together, Night Never Sleeps, and he did the part of Iceman, which he wrote for himself and he created. And it's just completely fucking brilliant. I mean, it's just the most amazing transformation. But when I write, I kind of write for this would be a funny thing to happen. So I'm writing more for plot and less for character. So whatever the fun scene is, that's the part you wind up playing. And I do, like I said, tend to fall into that Jason Bateman type role of like, you know, like, okay, sure, sounds good. You know, it's, and because I'm more interested in the scene than necessarily the part. Aaron Sorkin has a great line. He says, I don't care about characters. I just care about what characters want. And it's in the want and how you go about the want that your character kind of emerges. But I don't really think about it. And if you look at Gene Hackman, that's pretty much his career. Gene Hackman never did anything crazy with costumes or with his face or with prosthetics.
Never.
And, you know, you could look at Unforgiven and see parts of Hoosiers, a little, you know, of both.
He always used the same hair. He never did anything. And he's like considered amongst actors as like the greatest actor.
Yeah. By the way, he's listed, this is a list you got to look up, as the most difficult actor to work with.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And there are many, but I'm not surprised to hear that.
But for him to be number one and in our generation not be as popular as some other actors and still be number one, that's an extraordinary achievement.
Yeah, kids don't see like movies like what was the one where he's Popeye Doyle. They don't see the French Connection. Nobody.
Right. He was a brilliant lunatic. But there's a couple of interesting interviews. There's one with him and Dustin Hoffman, and they're both talking because they were roommates. And Hoffman says, "Well, we've never competed for anything." And he says, "Well, you kind of pushed me out of getting The Graduate." And then they just have that little fight. It was just like freaking hilarious. But anyway,
if you if you were on the run from the police and the law, and you had a bag of money, where would you hide it?
Where would I hide it? Okay. It's funny because having watched Narcos, I've learned a lot about this.
Great show.
And yeah, so I would definitely wrap it in a lot of plastic. And I would go out to Howard Beach, where they have that really high grass. Woody Allen shot Broadway Danny Rose out there.
In the dunes by the sand?
No, there's a high... It's just high grass. It's kind of like a marsh.
I think I know what you're talking about. When you're going to like Far Rockaway, you go on this road that both sides like wheat.
You know what? I'll keep it simple. I'll put it by Gilgo Beach, which I think a lot of Long Islanders know because that's where that serial killer buried a lot of bodies. And
I would stay away from there. For the most part.
I'd probably hide it there because that place isn't as popular as it used to be.
And it's a nice ride.
And let me tell you that big, the big pencil is really cool. And the Loop Parkway, I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that.
No, it doesn't. On Long Island, it doesn't get better than the Loop Parkway.
You know, I got to be honest. That's the first time anybody ever asked me that question. It really is a great question. You should.
It is a fun question. Yeah.
Continue to do that because I think it reveals a lot about people's personality.
It's also me trying to find out when they do have money. I'm going to go look for it.
Okay. That's all right. All right. Now we got to the punchline. That was worth it.
Now, if you could have one superhero power, what would it be?
Yes. I've been asked this question before, and I think it would be card tricks. I think that's the one that everybody, because I think with card tricks, you have an incredible charm and magnetism that will attract a hell of a lot more people. You know.
Did you ever see David Blaine doing those card tricks for the African kids?
Yes.
It's like the funniest real thing. It's not a joke. It's not satire. It's not parody. It is him doing jokes for kids that are like starving.
I know. I want a 5-year residency in Vegas. I think that is literally, you know.
Oh, it would kill you.
I went and saw Wayne Newton in concert, and he's the best Elvis impersonator I've ever seen.
We saw the same. It was at the Hilton. It was at the Las Vegas Hilton, right?
And he wears the Elvis outfit. He uses the Elvis entrance. Half of his songs are Elvis songs. It's
yes, they are. At least they were. I don't know if he still performs, but that was like 20 years ago that I saw him.
I would take his career tomorrow. I got no problem with being Wayne Newton. If I had to pick a career, I'd be fine with that.
I would settle for Engelbert Humperdinck.
Engelbert Humperdinck, yeah. I mean, he probably does very well with the ladies, which
yes,
you can complain.
With a name like that.
With those magic eyes, yeah.
In our last, we have to wrap this up. As always, things must come to an end. I want to see if you have anything you'd like to plug. If you have anything coming up.
Yeah, we just did a movie. I did a movie with Russ Camarta called Taxicab Ride with Jesus.
We're going to show a trailer for that.
Yeah, it's particularly unbelievable because what's amazing about Russ is I remember calling him and saying, do you want to do this? And he says, well, who's going to play Jesus? And he says, I am. And I'm like, great. And sure enough, he basically plays Jesus 2,000 years later in a bad mood, in an Armani suit, going to dinner. And he's freaking amazing. He also did an incredible edit on the film. It's just, I remember the first time I saw it, I was trying to explain to him how much I liked it, and my voice cracked, and I was just so embarrassed. But he really captured all the emotion. It's a great movie, and so I'm looking forward to him putting it up on a lot of platforms and doing amazing things with it, because his efforts on it in terms of writing a lot of his lines, producing it, and editing it. And editing, by the way, is really directing. I mean, when you give somebody an edit, that's 50% of the direction. So, but yeah, it's really good, and mostly because of him. I'm just the cab driver. It's the fun.
Well, I did get to check it out a couple of months ago, and it's a great piece. I even shared it online, I think.
Yes. Yes, I remember. I sent it to you. That's right.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. I love the idea of talking to Jesus or the devil, or those are very popular concepts. Like my favorite Keanu Reeves movie is Constantine, because he's fighting with both the God and the devil, and I love that.
But it's also Jesus in a bad mood, which is so.
I assume he would mostly be. You'd have to be.
But this is Russ. I mean, like Russ mentions that scene in Passion of the Christ, where Jesus gets pissed off and he just kind of trashes the village. Yeah. And that's a really good point. Martin Scorsese is the first one to really show Jesus as a human being. And that's what Russ does. Because when you watch the movie, it's about Jesus finding God. It's not about the guy finding God. It's
right. That was the Last Testament of Christ. Yes.
Right. And the other Last Temptation of Christ. Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing, which was really interesting, is when Russ put it in a lot of film festivals, he was smart enough to not put it in as a religious movie. He put it in as a fantasy. Because that's what it is. It's a fantasy. We're not trying to preach. We're not trying to convert people to Catholicism.
No,
it's just about self-help and the next level of where we need to be taken.
So maybe people can just learn a little something. And I hope the audience learned something today with my awesome guest here, Dan Brennan.
Well, they certainly learned where my money's going to be when I make it.
Yes, I know where to go look for your money. I don't really want to go to Gilgo Beach though. Not in this weather. I will talk to you soon. It's been great.
Absolute pleasure. By the way, I've seen your stand-up, and if I can just tell this one very quick story.
Okay.
I was out videotaping you doing stand-up, and you hit, I don't know, the crowd was not responding. And I'm like, oh God, this is just getting embarrassing. And then all of a sudden you reached into your pocket and you started reading jokes in a rapid fire formation that was so goddamn fucking hysterical. And it was such an original. It was like, I don't care about it was almost like I have to be somewhere, so let me get through these jokes. and people have to see it to realize how incredibly brilliant that is. And I also want to commend you, because I truly believe that stand-up comedians are the Jedis of show business, because that's as hard as it gets. So,
Yeah, and it's something that I don't feel I've even close to mastered. I can be funny on stage, and I think most people can be funny on stage, but truly great comedians are have 10 beats a second, and they're getting laughs every few seconds. I don't really do that. I'm a story guy. I tell my stories, and hopefully people will like them and be impressed. As I hope people were impressed with you today, Dan Brennan.
Oh, I
You're
think
the best. And I look forward to talking to you again. This is
Absolutely.
Welcome Back to America. Please stick around after these commercials.
Bill, are you getting my text? When are you coming to the hospital?
22. Do I have you tonight?
She's not responsive to all this medication. They're asking me all kinds of questions.
22. I have you at Pine Street Park. You pick up yet?
This is 22. There's nobody here. I think we got a no-show. No, forget it. He's here. I got him. Dispatch messing with me? Is this you here? Is this your real name?
Yeah, that's me.
So it must be tough being the son of God.
Yeah, well, it's getting easier.
You know, when I was in high school, Brother Hogan used to say, when Jesus comes back, it's going to mean the end of the world.
We'll see what happens after my dinner.
She's getting worse, Billy. It would be good if you could get here.
This shit just falls out of the sky. You know, it'd be nice to know that there's somebody out there looking out for us.
So that's my job now. I'm here to answer your prayers.
Yeah, if you're worthy, that's the way it works.
Oh, I didn't know that. You have everything you need.
It's not always that easy.
It is always that easy.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well, my daughter's in the hospital, and she needs a machine to breathe, and she can't walk.
And who are we blaming for that?
This kid's coded 3 times. She's not gonna make it through the night.
I got bills to pay. I'm mortgaging my house. My wife cries 24 hours a day. It's unimaginable pain.
You know, they did beat me to within an inch of my life and hang me on a cross, so you'd be amazed at what I can imagine.
I can't do this.
Don't you think I didn't want to do it either?
Why then?
Because there was nobody to pass the cup to, pal. Sometimes, no, all the time. It's just you. You're the only one who can carry it. Because ultimately you're the one who asked to hold it in the first place. You just forgot.
I need to be with my family.
No, you need to get me to that meeting. It's very important. You have no idea how important it is.
Billy, what are you doing?
I'm talking to Jesus.
What? Billy, we can pray together when you get here.
Yeah, I'll be right there. I have to go. As a matter of fact, I would like $15.50 for the fare.
I don't have any money.
Of course you don't have any money. Because I'm talking to a lunatic who thinks he's Jesus!